like a Polaroid picture. Shake it, 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 shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Okay, so what did you think of the video? So there's just a couple of things that are on the video that introduce you to different parts of Australia. But today I'll be talking about many different things, so I hope you can listen well. Okay, so a little bit about myself before we get started. So my name is Michael Ngo의, and I'm 27 years old. And I'm from Sydney, Australia. And I teach. I've lived in Korea for 3 years. So I've been here since August 2012. And I teach at 3 elementary schools in Cheongju. So who here is from Cheongju? Who lives in Cheongju? Okay, so maybe you've seen me around, maybe not. Okay, so in my family there are 4 people. This is my mom, my younger brother, and my father. And this was before I left to come to Korea in 2012. And this was last year in January when I went to visit my family. So no one's changed except me. I changed my hair. And, okay, so there are some different things in Australia, such as the kindergarten and elementary school system. So all of you would have gone through elementary school, and you would have been able to wear your own clothes. But in Australia, we have uniforms, so dresses for girls and shirt and shorts for boys. And actually, this is my kindergarten photo. Can you see me in the picture? So I'm not this one. I am here in the middle. So this is me when I was in kindergarten, 1994, long time ago. Okay, so. I want to talk to you about Australia. So right now we live in South Korea, right? Right here. And Australia is south of South Korea. Okay. And the plane ride here directly to Sydney is about 10 hours. So has anyone been to Australia before? 2? 3? Plane ride is really long. Okay. So I want to talk about the population. So does anyone know how many people live in Korea? Can you guess? So the population of Korea is about 49.3 million. Okay, 49.3 million as of this year. And can anyone guess how many people live in Australia? It's about half of this. Okay. So about 26.3 million. 23.8 million. And also, what about the area? So have a look at the map. So Korea is a really small country, right? And Australia is pretty big. So can you guess, how big is Korea? So it's about 100,000 square kilometers, okay? And Australia is about 7,600,000 square kilometers. So it's really, really big. But our population is almost half of Korea's, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit more about the Australian national flag. So this is our national flag, and we do take some parts of it from England, British, the United Kingdom. Okay, so the first thing we took was the Union Jack, because Australia was founded by the British. So we had to, and we are also a Commonwealth state, so we have to keep the Union Jack as a representation of the British country. Also, the Commonwealth Star, this is a really important piece on the flag because there are 7 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they represent the states and territories in Australia. Okay? And also the last thing is the Southern Cross constellation. So this constellation is only visible in the southern hemisphere. So we currently live in the northern hemisphere, but you can only see this constellation in the southern hemisphere. So Australia was founded first colonized in 1788, so by Captain James Cook. So he came around the north side of Australia and landed in Sydney, which is now in Botany Bay. Okay, so does anyone know about the states and territories of Australia? So I saw that there was 5 or 6 people that have been to Australia before. Do you remember which state you went to? Just shout it out. Nobody? Okay, well let's start with the first one. I'm from New South Wales, so this is where I'm from. So New South Wales capital is Sydney, which is on the eastern coast. Okay, and the other states and territories, maybe you've heard of Melbourne. Melbourne is in Victoria. Victoria is right next to New South Wales. And a really popular destination for a lot of tourists is Queensland because it's very warm and tropical. And we also have one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, the Great Barrier Reef, which is on the eastern coast. We also have South Australia, the Northern Territory, Perth, Western Australia, and Tasmania. And a lot of people don't know this, but the capital of Australia is not New South Wales or Victoria. We have a separate state called the Australian Capital Territory. So this is where a lot of the parliament happens, where they make laws, they try to change legislation, and this is a separate territory within New South Wales. So these states and territories are very similar to Korea. We have Chungcheongbuk-do, Gyeonggi-do, etc., etc. Right? So these are like those. And like I said before, one of the natural 7 wonders of the world is the Great Barrier Reef. But nowadays, due to pollution and global warming, the Great Barrier Reef is dying, okay, because it's a living natural resource. And because Australia is surrounded by 7 different seas, Indian Ocean, Timor Sea, Artur Sea, Coral Sea, South Pacific Ocean, Tasman Sea, and the Southern Ocean, we are an island. Okay? And we are the only island continent in the world because of the 7 seas surrounding us. Okay, so how's the weather in Australia? So where I'm from, it's over here. The northern part of Australia is very, very hot because it's closer to the equator. Okay? And just below a little bit further south, it's very hot and humid. So very similar to the weather in Korea. And then see the yellow part? This is the hot part, so it's hot and dry. And also, this is mainly desert, the red part. This is very, very dry. So the reason why our population is a little bit lower than Korea's is because a lot of this area is uninhabitable. You can't live there because it's too hot and it gets too cold during the night. Okay? And where I'm from, it's very warm and nice. So a lot of people live in the central part of these states because it's near the ocean, near the sea, and it's cooler, and a lot of people really enjoy, I guess, the natural beauty of the states. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about Aboriginals, or Indigenous Australians. So they're represented in Australia. So when Captain James Cook first came to Australia, he met these Indigenous Australians, and he tried to get along with them and try to understand them a bit more. But today, the Aboriginals are also represented by a flag, so they have their own flag. Okay? So this represents their community, their culture. So this is the yellow part represents the sun, the black part represents the night, and the red part represents the land. Okay, so this is the representation of what Australia is. We have night and land and the sun, which is part of their culture as well. So nowadays, Aboriginal Australians only represent 2% of the population, which is really, really low, considering Australians, the total population of Australians is about 23.8 million. Okay, so it's very low. So a lot of the souvenirs you can buy from Australia, this is very popular, is some Aboriginal art. So Aboriginal art uses dot star painting a lot with the natural earth colors because they represent Australia and the land. And a lot of them, you can see different animals. So can you guess what this one is? Yeah, it's a snake. And what about this one? You can only see the butt. Yeah, that's a big kangaroo and fish and platypus and emu. And I'll talk a little bit more about some Australian animals later. Okay, so some Aboriginal items. We're going to have a look at some traditional musical instruments and also some tools that Aboriginals created. So this is a didgeridoo. Okay, so let's practice the vocabulary together. Everybody, didgeridoo. Didgeridoo. So this is a woodwind instrument. You play it by blowing through the mouthpiece and it produces a sound. And I want to show you a video of what the didgeridoo sounds like, because maybe some of you have not heard it before. So this is an Aboriginal playing the didgeridoo. And we'll just watch a little bit, maybe 30 seconds. Okay, so the sound that is produced by the didgeridoo is all controlled by the throat or the wind and your lungs, because there are no holes in the didgeridoo. You control the sounds that are created with your mouth. Okay? So it's similar to a clarinet, flute or something, but we don't have the holes. They don't have the holes. Okay, so some other Aboriginal items maybe you've seen before. Next one is a boomerang. So everyone, let's practice together. Boomerang. 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 So the Aboriginals created this, and it was first used for hunting, but nowadays a lot of people use it for playtime. They play with the boomerang because it circles back and comes back to you. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Australian coat of arms. So this is the representation of Australia on our passports and also our driver's licenses. Okay, so there are some different key points on this coat of arms. The first thing I want to talk about is the Commonwealth Star. So we saw this earlier on the flag. So this represents Australia and the 7 states and territories. Okay? The next thing is the two animals, the kangaroo and emu. And the reason why these are representations of Australia are because they are natural they are natural fauna found in Australia. So fauna is animals. Okay? And the reason why they chose the kangaroo and emu is they can only walk forwards. They can't walk backwards. So this represents that Australia always wants to keep moving forward. Okay? Progression. The next thing are the state badges. So these are 6 different representations of the states and territories. Okay. And the last thing is the golden wattle. So this is the natural flora that is found in Australia, natural flower plants. Okay, so in Australia we have a lot of tourist destinations as well. So along the east coast of Australia, there are about 47 big things. So they like to build big things. The first thing that's very popular is called the Big Banana. Okay? And also, in the middle of Australia, there's a famous rock called Uluru, or Ayers Rock. Okay. So let's practice the vocabulary together. Everybody, Ayers Rock.
Ayers Rock.
Uluru.
Uluru.
So Uluru is the traditional Aboriginal name for this rock. And also, like we saw before, the Great Barrier Reef. So this is the live coral and fish that live there. So because I'm from Sydney, I want to talk a little bit more about where I'm from. So do you know what this is? The Harbour Bridge. But because it's in Sydney, it's called the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Okay. So interesting fact, I used to travel across this bridge every day to go to university. There are 8 lanes for cars and 2 train lines that go across the bridge that connects the CBD to North Sydney. And the next one, do you know what this is? Opera House, and because it's in Sydney, it's called the Sydney Opera House. Okay, and actually there are lots of plays and performances and concerts that are held here. If you like classical music, you can come here and listen. And another interesting fact: when I was in high school, I got to perform at the Sydney Opera House with my choir. Okay. And also, last thing from Sydney, do you want to know what this is? It's the tower. So because it's in Sydney, it's called the Sydney Tower. And the Sydney Tower is the tallest building in Sydney at 187 meters. And actually, inside the tower, there are 2 restaurants, 1 buffet, 1 fine dining, and level 3 is an observation deck, and level 4 are offices. And actually, another interesting fact, I used to waiter at the fine dining restaurant. It was very beautiful. You can see all over Sydney. Okay. So some interesting animals that you might not have heard of. So in Australia, we have a special type of animal called the monotreme. Okay, monotremes. So monotremes are warm-blooded, but they lay eggs. Very interesting. So the first one is a platypus. So maybe you've heard of this before. This is the duckbill platypus, and actually, interestingly, when they first found this animal and brought it back to England, they thought they just stuck a duck bill on a dog, and it was very interesting. So this is called the platypus, or the Ornithorhynchus anatinus, for those who study science or biology. And we also have an echidna. So this is a spiked mammal. Echidna, or the Tachylogosidae. Sorry for my pronunciation. Not a science major. Okay, and they lay eggs. So humans, we give birth to live babies, right? And also some other actually all mammals give birth to live young. So they actually lay their eggs and they hatch from them. They're warm-blooded, but they lay eggs. Okay, so another interesting animal is the kookaburra. Let's practice the vocabulary together. Everybody, kookaburra. So this animal is very, very interesting because as a bird, lots of birds sing, right? This one laughs. So it likes to laugh instead of sing. And I will show you a video of kookaburra laughing. You might think it's a little bit funny now, but this is considered Australia's alarm clock. So you wake up to kookaburras laughing in the background. So sometimes it's really annoying. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about Korea and the differences and similarities between Australia and Korea. So the first thing, in Korea we use won, right, for our currency system. In Australia we use dollar, so we have an Australian dollar. And I checked the prices last week. As of 2015, September 10, 1 Australian dollar buys 840 Korean won, and 1,000 Korean won buys $1.20 Australian. So if you are planning on going to Australia, now is a good time because the Korean won is very strong. Okay. So some Australian money that you might have seen before. So we also use cents. So these are our coins in Australia. So we have the 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents, $1, $2. And each of these coins has a representation of something that is Australian. So the first one is, can you guess? We saw it before. Echidna. It's an echidna. The 10-cent coin has the lyrebird, which is also an Australian natural fauna. And the 20-cent has the platypus that we saw before. 50-cent has the coat of arms, so we saw the kangaroo and the emu. The dollar has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kangaroos. And the $2 coin has an Aboriginal, an indigenous Australian. Okay. So the $1, when I first came, was about equal to $1,000. And 50 cent is about 500 won. Okay, so if you want to compare those. So we stopped using 1 cent and 2 cents in 1994. So the 1 cent had the possum and the 2 cent had the frilled neck lizard. So these are very rare coins now. If you find them, you can take them to the bank and they will deposit it into your account, or you can keep them as a collector's item. Okay, so in Australia we also have some paper money. So we have $5, $10, $50, $20, and $100. So, and also this $5 is very special because they only produced this in 2001, the centenary of Federation. So this was a very rare bill that they produced only for 1 year. Okay, so I actually have 10 of these in Korea because I collected them. So yeah, so $10 when I first came was about man won, and $20 2만 won, $50 5만 won, and $100 10만 won. So this one is also very high value. And interesting point, each paper, each bill is a little bit longer in width. So it's a little bit longer. Okay. Oh, and one other thing, Australian money is actually made out of a polymer, so plastic. So you can wash this, you can scrunch it up, and it will be fine. You can use it. Okay. So I want to talk about price comparisons. So in Korea, water is considered very cheap, right? So one bottle is about 600 won, maybe, about 600, which is about 70 cents in Australian money. And also, in Australia, bottled water, especially for this brand, is very expensive. One bottle is about $2.80. So about 2,350 won. Oh my God. Yeah, so it's a little bit expensive. And if you like sugary drinks, Coca-Cola. So the same bottle of Coke, 600 milliliters, in Korea is about 1,800 won, right, at the convenience store, which is about $2.15. But in Australia, at the same convenience store, like 7-Eleven, it's about $3.50. So 2,920. Very expensive. And does anyone here smoke? No? Okay, that's good. So in Korea, a box of cigarettes is about 4,500 won. Okay, but in Australia, we don't have the branding and we don't have the advertisements. We have a plain box with the brand and also a warning as well. So this was introduced as law recently, that all cigarette packets should look like this. Because we have a very high population that like to smoke. And in Australia, it's about $18 for 1 month. So if you go to Australia and you want to smoke, it will cost you about 15,061. Very expensive. This is because of the tax that was introduced for Australia. Okay. So maybe some of you use a lot of these things in everyday life. I want to talk a little bit more about Australian inventions. So who here knows what this is? It's a refrigerator. So this was made in the 1850s. It was invented in Australia by a man, okay, at the CICC. And the second thing, can you guess what this is? Not a notebook, this is a notepad. Okay, notepad. And this was invented in 1902. And maybe some of you are very unfamiliar with this. Do you know what this is? I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with your heart. Maybe you don't know the word in English, but it's called a pacemaker. So this keeps the heart going. Okay, so this was invented in 1920 in Australia. And what about this? Do you know what this is? I'll give you a hint. It's used in planes. Yes, black box. So this is a black box. And this was invented in Australia in 1957. Okay, so every plane nowadays is fitted with a black box. And you can thank Australia for creating this. And two more. Do you know what this is? Wi-Fi! Yeah, Wi-Fi. So this was invented in Australia in 1997. So in Korea, Wi-Fi is very important, right? Because you want to be connected to social media and Kakao. So you can thank Australia for making Wi-Fi. And the last thing, do you know what this is? It's a baby capsule. So this is used in cars to keep the baby seated or safe. Okay? And this was invented in 1984. Okay, so in Australia, there are a lot of different people. So we are considered a multicultural community, multicultural country. So in 2011, they did a study. 1 in 4 people that live in Australia were either born overseas or had parents that were born overseas. Okay, so 1 in 4 people. So a lot of them come from the UK, New Zealand, China, India, Italy, Vietnam, Philippines, South Africa, Malaysia, Germany, and etc. Okay, so all of these people migrated to Australia, and that is why now we are considered a multicultural society. Okay, so I want to show you a video about Australian language. So in Australia, there are 3 main types of accents. Okay, and maybe you can spot my accent in this video.
Generally speaking, there's 3 types of Australian accent. The first is the broad Australian accent would be, say for example, the typical Queensland accent or the very strong Australian accent.
The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain.
The next would be the general Australian accent, which for example I speak. So it's a little bit more of a neutral, less strong Australian accent.
The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plains.
And then there's the cultivated Australian accent or the received pronunciation.
The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain.
So that's basically the 3 general types of Australian accent.
Okay.
Okay, so I just showed you a video about the different accents. So can you guess which one my one is? There's number 1, number 2, or number 3? 3? 2. Yeah, my accent is the general Australian accent. So the sentence they were practicing was, the rain in Maine falls mainly on the plain. So the first accent was very harsh. A lot of people find it difficult to understand that accent. So for example, if I started speaking to you like this, it'd be really difficult for you to understand. And also, the third accent was the cultivated accent. So this is more derived from the UK. So it's very posh, it's considered very cultured. So the sentence, the rain in Maine falls mainly on the plain, it sounds very nice to the ear. Okay? It's very soft and very nice to listen to. Okay, so we're going to practice some Australian vocabulary, some different things that you might have learned differently in school. So in Australia, please listen and repeat after me for the vocabulary. So the first one, supermarket. Supermarket. I know we have supermarkets here in Korea, but this is considered a supermarket in Australia. We don't have, well, we do have malls, but we call them something different. Okay, next one. Footpath. Footpath. So also we're learning Australian pronunciation, so we pronounce the A's a little bit more extended. So in American English, it would be said footpath, right? So in Australia we say footpath. Car park. Car park. So as you notice, the R is also a little bit more lazy in Australian accent. Okay. Trolley. Trolley. Nappy. Nappy. So nappy is what you put on the baby to collect. Soft drink. Soft drink. So soft drink is soda in American English. Arvo. Arvo. So we like to abbreviate a lot of things. So Arvo, can you guess what it is? Arvo is afternoon, or afternoon, if you learned it like that. So Arvo is afternoon. Snags. Snags. Snags are sausages, okay, that you barbecue or fry in the pan. Barbie. Barbie. So barbie is a barbecue, so you can cook steaks and sausages. Okay. Bloke. Bloke. So bloke just pretty much means a person that is a man. Okay, 남자. Or 아저씨. Bloke. Look at this bloke. Chook. Chook. Chook is chicken. Esky. Esky. So in Korea you would say icebox or a cooler, right? Or in America cooler. Esky. Kindi. Kindi. Can you guess what this is? Kindergarten or YouTube. Okay, kindi. Lollies. Lollies. So we don't call like hard candy or soft candy candy. We call it lollies. So growing up in Australia, can I have some lollies, please? Macca's. Macca's. So a lot of people growing up, McDonald's is way too long to say. So I don't want to go, oh, let's go get some McDonald's. Let's go get some Macca's. Very easy. Reckon. Reckon. So a lot of young people, especially in high school, do you reckon? Like, do you think? What do you think? This is what that means, reckon. What do you reckon? Rubbish. Rubbish. In American English, they would say trash. Okay? Or garbage, we say rubbish. Sunnies. Sunnies. Because sunglasses is too long. Sunnies. Can I borrow your sunnies, please? Do you have your sunnies? Uni. Uni. Like I said, university is way too long. Uni. Okay, so a lot of Australian English is abbreviated or changed into slang. So like, for example, Macca's and Sunnies. Okay? And so thank you for listening to my presentation.
잘 들었어요?
One more thing, I want to show you a Tourism Australia video about a little bit more about Australia. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
잘 들으셨어요? 선생님 레슨 재밌으셨죠? 영어로 말씀하셔서 좀 어려운 부분도 있었고 쉬운 부분도 있었고 그쵸? 요즘에 운동회 준비하고 축제 준비하느라고 바쁘죠? 바빠요? 자, 이렇게 바쁠 때도 또 이렇게 좋은 렉처 들으러 왔으니까 오늘도 열심히 한번 이렇게 참여해 보고요. 우리 다시 한번 선생님께 마이클 노 선생님께 Thank you for your great lecture. 박수 한번 다시 보내주세요. 자, 그러면 지금부터 지금 11개 조거든요. 그래서 여기 튜터가 여기는 전체 하나씩 가져가셔서 잠깐 화장실 다녀온 후에 지금 이제 디베이트 시작해 볼게요. 한 10분 정도 화장실 얼른 다녀오신 다음에 5분 정도 빨리 다녀오신 다음에 바로 시작할게요. 튜터를 중심으로 해서